Master Green on the beat.
Welcome, everyone, to the Winlife podcast, where we focus on financial and personal growth, as well as creative expression. Today, I have a very special guest, like always, very close friend of mine and collaborating artist. We have Master Green on the show today. Welcome, bro.
Hey, how you guys doing today? What's going on with you, man? I appreciate the introduction, and I'm definitely happy to be here today. It's a great time to be alive and to embark on many opportunities and to just be an expression of love and joyfulness. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely, glad to have you here, bro. You one of the first people I really worked with when I moved out to California. And, I was definitely coming out of my shell as an introverted person that I am. And you definitely helped me in different ways, from expressing my music, helping me get my voice out there. And then just like even bringing me around the homies and different people and, vouching for me that I was a good dude, like, all of that. So it's definitely a full circle moment. I'm glad to have you here. And yeah, I'm just going to pick your brain a bit. On the show, we essentially work to add value. And one of our biggest principles is to grow our net worth through our network. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to be here with you, and, and it's just like catching up, it's like a meeting on the porch, but yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and give you your proper introduction, and then we'll get right into it. So Stephen Green, better known as Master Green, is a Grammy-nominated producer and record executive. He is a Riverside, California native. He studied at Wilberforce University. Master Green has produced for several music heavyweights, such as Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg, Jadakiss, and many more. In addition, he has cultivated his own label where he develops artists, providing a platform for creativity and self-expression. The Winlife podcast welcomes Stephen Master Green to the show. Let's get it.
Thank you, Ellen. Glad to be on the Elwin Winlife podcast, and it's just a blessing to be part of that and to, definitely give you some gems and things and that to how we can all expand our experience through our art, because our network is our net worth. It's about the type of people that we bring into our circle to help to elevate us and to sharpen us and to help us, just help us build a much better experience from inside out. So.
Definitely. And that is really the purpose of this show, is to essentially story tell and highlight other people who have basically gone through it, been through the struggles, the ups, the downs that we talk about, and have come out that other side. And not to say that, oh, now you got it all figured out, your end result is, your end goal is necessarily, but more so you figured out how to accomplish, how to goal set, how to accomplish those goals, how to turn those thoughts into things. Because I always say, for me, winning at life is the ability to turn thoughts into things. And I really learned a lot of that with you, just as far as how you've coached me just on, like a brother tip in terms of like not doing negative self-talk. So yeah, like yesterday we had Jonah's episode come out, and he kept saying like, if I become, a wealthy trader and stuff like that. And I was correcting him. I was like, when you correct. And those different behaviors I got from you. And, the same with the music, just helping me, get my voice out there, which I'm sure we'll kind of touch on a bit more. So yeah, just thanks for that, bro. And, yeah, I figure I could just kind of ask you a few things that will highlight that. So, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like if a real friend and real genuine people can be a challenge to come by. So, at the end of the day, all I have is my word. So, we don't really own anything. The only thing we own are just our experiences. And, many experiences can be reframed. So I find that when we have times of the day where, we may have some thoughts that might try to come in and are a little intrusive and may encourage us to negative self-talk to ourselves, that's reframing is just one way that I know would help to keep us in line with the things that we're manifesting, because we can't say yes to ourselves 10 minutes in meditation out of the day and then the rest of the 23 hours just saying no to ourselves through negative self-talk. Saying yes to ourselves has so many great benefits and great mental benefits, to where you can think properly, because our thoughts create feelings, they're never separate, and energy and matter are the same. They're not separate. So that's one thing that I know is a challenge, but just saying yes to yourselves and reminding ourselves all day is what helps us to meet our goals and create and turn things into thoughts, or thoughts into things, actually. So.
Definitely, that actually is what I'm curious about with you, and turning that energy or that emotion into a thing. So if you can kind of describe your creative process where you turn those emotions either into obviously sounds and or words, like how do you how can you break that down for us?
Well, see, when it comes to the art, I just, it goes back to saying yes to myself. I have thoughts, and the music and sounds come from anywhere. Inspiration comes from everywhere.
Right.
So, the wind can blow or the birds can chirp, I can be outside. And I feel like that's where I get a lot of inspiration from, in nature. So the words and thought and the sounds just come to me from it's just, I'm connected to a larger mind. We all are connected to a larger mind. So we have an unlimited access of influences and inspiration all around us. So when we take that inspiration and we just, we get still, we're able to come up with lots of creative ideas that help to elevate our creativity. And that's for me, that's how it works with sound. Like I said, I just be in nature, and I go and get myself medicated and be out in nature, put my feet in the grass, because it just, I do the breathing exercises as well. So, our
Have you
breath
always been? Oh no, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, the breathing exercises are what helps me to be centered.
Right.
It just helps me to center my energy in order to really capture the ideas that I have in mind.
Have you always been musically inclined? How long have you been making music?
Honestly, I feel like I was born this way, because as an infant, I would hear, I didn't even know, or couldn't even, the mind, it's like, the thing with science is science doesn't tell us everything. Science is just a great packaging of what already been, so it's like, but there's things that science can't tell us, and doesn't tell us. Like, it can't measure intuition. It can't measure time or space. Those things, and these things are not measurable. But yeah, like as far as like, and you know, and kids, I feel like are so open to new, and infants and babies are so susceptible to pick, and they pick up everything like sounds. But I honestly felt like I hear music in the womb, like, and when I came out, it's like music was, it was just already in me. Like I am, like I felt, and I feel like know that I am music, you know. So, but my ear was the gift. My ear, the ability to hear different sounds and like subtle energies in a record, that, you know, that goosebump factor. And I feel like
Right.
that's the thing that I've always been able to pick up.
I think I'm the same, but with lyrics. Like that's
Yeah.
my goal. I'm like, I'm gonna make you cry with this. I'm gonna give you the chills with this line, you know?
Yeah. And you do your execution. When I hear and play the Elwin record, the conviction is always there. No matter what record it is, the conviction and consistency is always there. It's like going to a restaurant, you know what you're gonna get, and you'll rave about it to everybody because you know what the outcome is. And that's how I look at and listen to your lyrics. Like I know what I'm getting when I'm listening to Ellen. It's consistency and some shit that's just out of this world, but it's gonna make you rewind it like 100 times.
Yeah, I appreciate that because that is what I look for in some of the best artists I look up to, like especially mainly producers, but like you, of course, but like a Pharrell, especially. You speak of that conviction and you know what you're gonna get, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the, you know, the same food every time. There's just that consistency, that secret ingredient, I guess you kind of speak on, which we're trying to bottle into words and describe, you know, the chills, the intuition, the giving people that feeling. So I really think we're on to something that people don't necessarily talk about. So we might really crack some codes here.
Absolutely, because it's like I feel like with a lot of these spiritual teachers, it's like they give you just the basics, you know. They really don't get into the meat and the potatoes, you know, give you the meat and potatoes like that. And I feel like those are the things that will help set people free. Yeah.
Right. To
Outside
make it into a practical process, you know, something you can actually do or take steps to physically do. Like you're saying, I go in nature, I ground myself, I'm receptive to the sounds, I do my breathing, and it might sound like hoopity blah or whatever, or, you know, some tree hugger stuff, but essentially you're telling people like, this is the code to receive signals from above. Like you just tune in literally and you receive it. And, but for you, obviously, and this is what I wanted to get into, you can't just be like, okay, I got dope ideas. Now what? There's still that degree where you have to master your craft, master your tools, your medium, whether it's Fruity Loops, MPC, you know, physical instruments. And what do you say to that? Because, you know, you do all the spiritual practices and you were inclined since you were in the womb, but I've known you to sit there mixing a song or working on a beat for 10 hours. And I'm like, this is my song and I think it's good enough. And you're like, no. So if you kind of just speak to like that mastery process and like what's going on in you when you're going through that.
The thing is, it's like cooking, you know. So you have all these different ingredients in it, and only the chef knows what is the outcome will be when you put the other ingredients and add the lyrics in there and whatnot and whatever, or instruments or whatever. A voice is the biggest, the most powerful instrument, the most versatile instrument. So when you have all these different elements and you put it in the pot, when what's going through me at the moment is just blending of the tastes, you know, because subtle volume changes or certain subtle movements will make the song hit and feel differently to the listener. You know, we have the auditory, every list like listener, you have the listeners that feel and listeners that hear just the texture of the music or the voice and the lyrics and how they hit. Then you have people who need and who have the whole experience. Like, they just want to engulf themselves in the music and the lyrics and just the whole sound, the whole song. You know, and that's what's going through me when I'm sitting at the computer and going over and over and mixing and taking my time on it, is because I know that with a little bit of extra time in there, it's going to make that record hit a little differently and be heard the way you want it to be heard. So
do you have like a straight process or like measurement system in your head? Like, or is it just like a feeling when you like, you know, how grandma cook and she just throw a pinch of salt in and you like, oh, it needs a little more pepper. Or is it more like mathematical for you?
I mean, it's mathematical, you know, it partially mathematical, but I try to, and I do my best to steer away from the too much mathematics. The only mathematics I use is the Fibonacci sequence, you know.
Wow.
So that's the type of mathematics I use when it comes to the music, but I don't overdo it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just use, it's an ingredient. Like, yeah, I mess with the Fibonacci sequence, and like that's the only mathematics I use, but I'll incorporate that with the feeling too. So it's like, it's a balance. And that's what makes it a personalized experience. That's what makes it a mastery experience, when you're able to capture both elements, the mathematics and the feel.
Right.
It's like
the yin and the yang balance.
Yeah, it's a balance. So it's like, and it's nothing, and you know, the dopest producers, the dopest artists can hear this record or whatever, and they can try to duplicate it or try to replicate it, but they will never clone the shit. Oops.
I think my favorite like lyricists or rappers are always the artists that have mastered the form on a mathematical level, like an Eminem, Tech Nine Extreme, but they then play with the form and they become unconventional with it and, you know, have fun with it. And it's just like, that's what takes it to the next level for me. And what I've always admired, like when I'm like, yo, that's a God MC, the way they do that. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities with the production side of things. And I wanted to mention that Fibonacci sequence is basically, in trading, we don't really use indicators like that, but Fibonacci sequence is the one tool I use to measure retracement. So it's in everything, bro.
Yeah, it's in nature, it's in the plants, you know, and the animals. It's just, even, you know, in street signs and just, I mean, everywhere you look, you can see the Fibonacci sequence. It's in letters and in rhythms. You know, so it's just,
I want to definitely ask more about your music and your production and what you got going on, but I don't want to forget to kind of take it back and just know about like who Stephen Green is. I know you're from Riverside. That's actually where I'm at right now. So I know you've been doing music. Basically, you've been into music since the womb. But how was growing up out here? Where like you into sports? Like just how was it coming up in SoCal?
Coming up in SoCal was a pretty interesting experience. You know, as a kid, you know, we're taught certain things growing up, and you know, we live by certain things when growing up. But over time, when you get into adult years, you know, we're all responsible for erasing a lot of these things and establishing a new set of values. But California it's beautiful. It's a sunny state. And, we only have I really feel like we only get like 2 seasons out here, 2 or 3 seasons out here because, it's sunny all the time. And it's just, the weather is beautiful. I mean, yeah, it gets hot in the summer, but it's definitely, I can see why people trample over other people to get out here to get that the land of the sun. But I spent a lot of time in Riverside. I went to North High School. I played basketball over there. I played in the national junior basketball.
Okay.
So, that's my thing. I love basketball. I like reading. I feel like reading is what helps to expand your experience mentally.
I know a lot of us Black boys or whatever that grew up in certain areas, we were attracted to certain lifestyles. I'll just leave it at that. But were you like influenced or distracted or like pulled into gang life or, like just street life or all that, or like any of that? Because as long as I've known you, you've always been like above board, only on positive, always working nonstop. I never even seen you entertain that. But I just wonder if like you had experienced that growing up or like, you had any type of like run-ins with the law, like obviously statute of limitations. But also I just mentioned that because like I see the artists that you work with artists from any element, from the most hood artists to the most like, pop or country or anything. So it just seems like you kind of been everywhere and can handle yourself in all environments. So I just kind of wonder like what your upbringing was on that tip.
I mean, yeah, being in California, Southern California, you have the gang influences. I mean, the surrounding areas, are like gang members and stuff. But I just learned how to stay neutral, not to really get too, because I look at gang stuff like that, gang life like a spiritual life, or like being in church or something, like, because it's all of, I mean, for many, it's a mask. It's just something to hide behind that will never allow a person to meet their truest identity. It's just like
That's deep.
It's a man-made identity. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna really get too into that. But because there's so many.
Get it. I like it though because get into it if you feel it.
Okay, it's just a man-made identity. Like the rest of all this stuff, the politics and the religious system, the judicial system, the economics. I mean, a lot of it is man-made, and it's all designed to fail in some form or fashion. So, but the best thing like I say, we're responsible for is just knowing that things are going to work out, period. And our beliefs. And as far as like gang life stuff, like, it's no ending. It's no happy ending in that. You always got to look over your shoulder or shout I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know how that works.
It's not freedom. We looking for freedom, not to get, tied down by any entity, right?
No, yeah, exactly. Because it's like, it's so much more to life. Like, it's so much more than just being the mad Black guy that, that the news and media, it's like, this is stuff many people closest to us can misjudge our character based off of the ideas that they have in mind or what they think is the way to be. But honestly, nobody really has the answers. We're all individuals and we all have different levels of tolerances and things that we're hypnotized by. We're hypnotized by the things we like and dislike. And, and many of us don't really know why we dislike things or people. But sometimes when we put a lot of times or anytime we put a label on things, it just allows our our mechanism of the mind to run freely and create things that aren't really there. So, and that's gang life is like that too. Sure,
I will say, bro, I had a big moment today. I just thought about it, but I broke my programming in a way because I was, brought up to basically hate the police and just, just like I see a police car, like my mood gets bad. I'm ready to, F12, all this. But today I was into Starbucks. And I held the door for 2 police officers and was smiling. They thanked me and stuff. And I didn't even realize it, but I'm like, yo, I evolved, bro.
We talked about that earlier. We were just talking about reframing. So it's like when you're able to reframe these experiences and tell me about it, it's like, that's beautiful, bro. Those are key moments in our life that allow us to live an even more expanded experience and wholesome, wholehearted experience. When we get, because I had a run-in with, I didn't really have a run-in with somebody in the neighborhood over here at my people's house. I guess they stole the car, attempted to steal it, but it was a black guy and he was on foot and he had a black sweater on. So, I seen 2 squad cars, drove past the house, 2 big ass SUVs, 2 newer, like 2021 SUVs, police cars. And then I'm outside and smoking a cigar on the phone with my girl. And then they, both the guys just whipped their car back around, did a U-turn, the infamous U-turn. Like, oh, I know they about to mess with me today. So like, I was just outside and I just stood there. And next thing they pull up to in front of the house. Like the guy gets out like, hey, I need you to put your hands up. We're not accusing anything. Somebody just took a car, but my sweater that I had on was a colorful sweater. So I'm like, oh, these niggas crazy. They must have thought I took a colorful, I changed out of the black sweater and threw a colorful sweater real quick. And I'm just out here on the grass chilling, trying to make it look like I ain't do nothing. So, I took my wallet out and stuff and told the guy that this is where I live at. He was like, oh, okay. Well, we're just doing our job. And I was like, okay, but I was like, the news doesn't make things any better. And he kind of laughed. I told him that. I was like, the news doesn't make nothing better. Cause I'm like, damn, I don't want to be another so-and-so, like shit, right. I ain't got no Skittles, what I'm saying? Like, I don't have, I just got my wallet.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's the thing, like, that's marketing. Marketing can make a lot of Black folks carry these negative feelings and stuff. And it's like, I'm focused on creating an expanded experience by being open to just experience, period.
Right. And even on top of the marketing standpoint, because like from my personal experience, I've had run-ins with the police where they, especially growing up in Chicago, they stop me. I get stopped all the time. Or even when I lived in Wisconsin, and all those, like they thought I was someone who robbed Emilio's sub shop once because I fit the description. I'm like, I work at the cable station for the city. Like, here's my shirt, and they let me go. But I definitely had to put my hands up. And they had them things drawn at me, But yeah. I say that and say, like, I'm not going to let that make me think like, F12, all cops are the devil. And like, it's a war, like, all of this marketing that I pull into, because I realized that, people are people, and this is an institutional issue. And if I just spend all of this energy, charging up myself with negative emotions to just be mad about this stuff all day, or I go on Instagram and there's a news story, like, the kid who killed the people in Wisconsin and he got off today. Like, before I get so emotionally charged and be maybe in the comments and just like hating on white people or something just so petty, like I'm finally, learning to let that go. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but
because we don't really know, and where you're going with that is we really don't understand and learn a lot of this shit, but it was just negative pillars, like prompters, like subconscious prompters. And I feel like the subconscious prompters are what causes a lot of these situations that feel like they're reoccurring. Why is this, not to say you, but I'm saying like that made it, because it brought me to a point, like, because I hear people I hear, it's like certain people would be like, oh, why is this happening? Like, I can never or never catch a break or whatever. But it's just like subconscious prompters. Like, if you think about something, it's gonna happen. It'll be, and you think and believe it. You don't even have to mouth the word out or the thought out, or if you just create that feeling and then you believe that and you internalize it, it just becomes something that, and it becomes real. Like, it's just we're just energy. That's all we are, is just energy. So where our energy and our attention flows, that's where that's what grows. And I look at it like, the thing is, like, if you focus on that, like if you even have the thought of or entertain the thought of that for a moment and you stay there, then it's like, yeah, there's a possibility that the niggas might pull up on you and put the pistols up, So I don't ever stay in. I don't even entertain that thought. I'd be like, no, and I just, but you can't really prepare yourself for a moment like that. You just have to be compliant, and not let any of the bad press into you to where you lash out or say some shit that can
Right. Learn how to handle yourself. Learn how to, know your law. Am I being a detained officer? If you need to pull out your phone,
you gotta lay in the bed with their ass. So it's not like you're waiting on some food or something. You just simply making them feel good, stroke their ego or whatever, and get home. Like, pretending this never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not pretending, just so I sweep the shit under the rug.
But just move on.
Yeah. It's not healthy to get says there's so much other things that can put you and elevate you to where you're not even in that same headspace,
Right. And it ain't like you got to repress it. Like, you can go make a song about your encounter. You can vent to your homie, vent to your therapist, but let it out and then move on, and don't fester and play the victim.
Feel the feelings. And, it's like, and we got to understand first of all, we got to understand how all these things are created, because they're man-made. Evil is something that's man-made.
Explain that, if you can.
Well, basically, it's like, because, and I'm explaining in the most simplest form, like, evil and evil is just the same as doing great things, but just it's a different door. And I mean, it's just, we're always using our faith, and we're always creating. So, the things that we can create in the likeness of the things we want to see in our reality, and we can create in the things that we don't want to see. So, and that's evil. That's you're living backwards.
So kind of how it's all a spectrum, and evil and good are opposite ends of that spectrum, but it's still the same thing.
They're the same thing, but it's just an energy. One of the things that are undesirable, and error, and things like that happen out of error in thinking. That's why evil is created. It's because it's an error in the thinking. It has nothing to do with because it's good. I've seen some really great people do some really effed up things, and I've seen some really effed up people do some really great things. So, I mean, it's like a situational and vibrational type thing,
That makes sense, because a lot of the people who are addicts and homeless, and they just can't escape. Like, maybe they're on heroin, but their dad was on it, whatever. Like, they're stuck in a loop, and they keep thinking like, poor me. But not just that, they're thinking like, I can't catch a break. Like you were saying, like, I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm not gonna get out of this. And it is an error in their thinking to that degree. When we're talking about proper thinking at a high vibration, positive, manifest, not necessarily always quote unquote positive, but being able to manifest your thoughts and get your emotions out there, all of that stuff, processing. And and even like
go ahead.
I was gonna say, even like a sociopath guy who maybe like he's a killer or something, like, and they might present themselves as like a perfectly normal person in society, but they have their thinking is flawed, right? Like, they're emotional, they're not empathetic, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but see, the thing is, like, And this is what I always say: everybody's damn near crazy, because it goes back to the everybody's hypnotized thing, And and I share, and a lot of these thoughts and stuff I share with people, but it's not really, many people aren't really receptive to it because it's not something that they normally hear, and something that's popularly promoted on their social medias or in books and schools and friends, but yeah, it's like,
you kind of hit on something. Like, we are all hypnotized, but what we're doing with the conscious programming, whether it be you listen to your binaural beats or you say, I'm going to, do these meditations, it's like we're choosing the programming for our subconscious. Like, we know we have to be programmed. It's going to be good or bad. It's going to be things we want to do or we don't. So, and it's like either we're going to program ourselves or someone else is, like the, social media, the news. So it is like, I don't know. I think that's just dope, that the way you're breaking down stuff, because I never really thought about it like this.
Yeah, and then, these are conversations that I have, I have with my girl too, and it's like I had to explain, and that's and she's cool because she's really wise, and we have conversations about that, about just energy preservation, but not, we can participate and we can be involved in projects, but not, just don't let things overtake you, just not let it overtake you.
Right. And linger and fester and all of that.
Yeah. Just be open, but not because it's like, the thing is, it's like anything we do, it can become a potential prison. Like, even spirituality can become a prison if a person is not careful. Like, and what I mean at it is, it's like they can hide, behind a mask. It's like it's a role, like a feeling spiritual, and it's like a fake vegan, somebody who say, I don't eat meat, but all this Beyond stuff is meat, has meat products in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you can't, either you're gonna be all vegan or you just gonna be whatever. I don't know. These labels and things can really be.
That's why you gotta just own up to who you are. And the same with religion. Like, I always tell people, like, I let Jesus in my heart. Like, I went to several Catholic schools, but I don't identify as a Christian. And like, I grew up around GDs, like my family, our folks, but I don't identify as GD, even though I joined the GDs when I was 3 years old, right? I was a GD for most people, but I don't claim that. Or like with the frats, I didn't pick a frat because I don't know. That was something in me, just to never identify. I think the first thing I ever repped, bro, was moving entertainment, straight up.
Yeah, moving entertainment was definitely an experience, and when you know enough about the business, things function properly. And I feel like that was just moving entertainment was great for gatherings and just bonding, and
yep.
And that, honestly,
it was a lot of learning.
It was a lot of learning. And I felt like that helped that set me up to work with a lot of these artists that I work with now. Like, man, but it also taught me how to be more selective with how involved I get, like self-preservation. And that goes back to the self-preservation thing. Like, it's just giving your energy to people, to situations that will give you a high return on investment, like something like a Forex type deal, and that's something that, I invest my time into because it's going to set me more free than the job ever will. Like, I don't like the idea of being paid only 26 times out of the year. I'm never like that. Yeah, and that's basically paid every 2 weeks. Like, you're being paid every 2 weeks, but and for many people that works, but it's like, I know for me, it just doesn't, it's never really set right, so I knew that I was more, and it's like, being at a job, it kind of restricts you from your expression. And when you practice that every day going in, because you're always practicing something, what you're practicing now will be who you are tomorrow.